So what's one of the greatest badass movies of them all?
全くバカにつける薬はねえな。何?
It's the 1961 classic from Akira Kurosawa. It's Yojimbo, coming up next. If you've ever liked any guy movie, tough guys, cowboys, wrestlers, samurai, fighters, boxers, you name it, you need to see Yojimbo. Who cares how old it is? Who cares if it's Japanese? Who cares if it has subtitles? This movie, Yojimbo, is very influential. It spawned 2 remakes. One was the beginning of the spaghetti westerns, A Fistful of Dollars with Clint Eastwood. There was another one made, I think, in the 1990s with Bruce Willis. That one's not so good. But there's lots and lots of imitators of what this movie, Yojimbo, does. The movie begins with the samurai walking somewhere. He doesn't know where he wants to go. He throws a stick up in the air at a fork in the road, and the stick falls down. He follows where the stick goes, and he leaves it up to chance. Immediately, he encounters 2 men talking about trouble in the town ahead. Samurai heads toward that town. He finds out that in that town, you've got a silk dealer, you've got a sake brewer, but they've been taken over by 2 rival clans. 2 rich families, they've hired a bunch of thugs, and they're at war with each other. Only it's a kind of cold war. It's a stalemate in this town. Samurai looks around, nobody's doing business except these 2 families. They're holding everybody in the town hostage. And he seems to think, okay, I'm gonna make some money from this or have some fun with it. He makes friends with a local restaurateur who tells him, the only business in town doing any business at all is the local coffin maker. And so the plot begins with the samurai using both his sword and his wits to outmaneuver both clans in the town. The samurai demonstrates his prowess very quickly at one point with the sword in order to make his price very high. He tells both clans, you can hire me as a bodyguard, but you've got to pay up. Is he trying to get money, or is he trying to play with the clans? Anyways, this movie goes on, and as the samurai plays with both sides, going between one side and the other, and then leaving them both behind, more trouble stirs in the town, and things get more and more heated. And of course, you've seen this before, as the samurai spends a lot of time in the town, weeks and weeks, he begins to appreciate the locals, especially the local restaurant owner who feeds him and becomes his friend. That's all I'll say about it, but this is a classic archetypal movie.
実はな親父。分かってるよ。これがねえんだろ。しかしこの町で少し暴れて借りは返す。
There's a literary critic, I forget who, but said there's 2 kinds of stories. People go on a quest, or a stranger comes to town. Yojimbo is the second kind of story. When a stranger comes to town, things get mixed up, change is going to happen. This is signified throughout the movie by the wind that rolls through the air, that rolls through the fields, that stirs up dust in the town, likened to the samurai making this rapid change happen in the town. Can he end the feud between the 2 clans? Can he rid the town of the 2 clans? If he's going to rid the town of the 2 clans, how should he do it? Wouldn't that leave nobody left in town? Wouldn't that leave a power vacuum? Turns out this town is far more corrupt than you can believe. At one point, an inspector from the city of Edo comes to town, and the 2 clans, because they have to look like they're not at war, make peace with each other temporarily. This causes the samurai some distress. What's he gonna do? And again, he's gotta outwit everybody. Now, this is a classic male warrior movie. And I find that there's a lot of elements in this movie that sort of are about the male psyche. You've got the samurai who's this tough, cool dude. He's emotionally stable. He's not movable. He's not shaken by anything. And then everybody else in the movie, these 2 clans in particular, are always moving around all over the frame. One of the strategies here, I think, is to have a moving camera that shows the samurai as stable, and then showing these other characters as restless, and then shifting every place. Now that includes the camera itself. I think the director Kurosawa is saying, you viewer, I'm going to have you move around as well, and you're kind of like one of the wimpy clansmen in this movie. But the samurai is not perfect. I find this movie is about the transition from economics to morality in some way, shape, or form. I think the samurai comes into town to have some fun, to make some money. He's going to play off the 2 clans, and pretty quickly we see his price is very high because he's the best warrior by far, and one of the clans, if they get a hold of him and hire him, can win the town Cold War. But the samurai is only going to leverage his position. And of course, the other thing happening is that there's no business activity in town. This is emphasized over and over again.
そこで生命虫とらも目の色を変えて虫雲の表情餅をかき集める。この宿場には血の市の代わりに人殺しの市が立ってるんだよ。
There's supposed to be a silk fair in town because this town has a silk trader, but that's been shut down by the two clans. And the only economic activity is due to the two clans hiring thugs out and killing people so that the coffin maker can make some money. What's going to get this town back to normal, stir up productive economic activity? And when the samurai makes friends with the restaurant owner, that's part of the conundrum. The restaurant owner has nobody coming to his restaurant. Turns out the samurai unwittingly is an agent of change for productivity, but also for morality.
今この町では人を切れば金になる。しかもこの町が叩き切った方がいいようなしかいねえ。まあ考えてみろ。清兵衛や牛虎、その他博打打ち虫物がみんなくたばったら。
He realizes that one of the clans, which has a house of prostitutes, has been taking women from the town to use as prostitutes. Also, local bureaucrats are taking women as well for their own mistresses. So, of course, the samurai has now a moral duty by the mid to end of the movie to do something to help those who are in the town or of the town. You probably have seen this kind of story before. It's been told probably thousands and thousands of times. But stylistically, this is a fascinating, excellent movie. I love seeing the samurai with no name, the Toshiro Mifune character, above the two clans early in the movie. As I said, he's the tough, cool part of the male psyche going above, laughing at the men, the vast hordes below him, who are all over the place, reckless and unhinged. It's a great depiction, I think, of self-control versus the wild spirit of youth. Of course, there's contrast in this movie. The samurai with no name character here, who gives himself the name of Sanjuro, which comes from a local field, is contrasted with a young man who is part of one of the clans. And this young man has a gun. The movie clearly pits the samurai way of using a sword against the newfangled way of using guns. Since it's a Kurosawa movie, again, highly moralistic because, swords are the noble way versus the gun, which is the coward's way. And there's a lot of talk about male cowardice versus male courage in this movie. It's a very elemental movie. You got the elements of earth, including the fact that Sanjuro takes his name from the earth. You've got wind, as I said. You've got fire, water, and then, of course, sake. This is one of the best samurai movies ever made, no doubt about it. And if you've never seen one, or if you've only seen a few, Yojimbo is the one to start with. And then you can move on to its sequel, Sanjuro. Sanjuro is a good movie too. You should watch it. It would be a great follow-up to Yojimbo. But you don't get Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns. You probably don't get the Mad Max trilogy. Maybe you don't get a franchise like Rambo without Yojimbo, this singular male character who comes in and deals with whole hordes of terrible people. Although this movie is thrilling to watch, and the score, I love the score here. It's a jaunty, somewhat jazzy score. Great use of percussion in this score, by the way. It's also offset by some very dark tones. There's two huge sides, and there's almost no solution to the problems in this movie. What does Sanjuro the samurai have to do? He has to clean house. Should we feel good about the fact that he's going to clean house? A lot of blood's going to be spilled. It's going to be a bloody cleansing. What do you think of Yojimbo? Please leave us a comment and let us know. And please subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.